Today's video we're going to continue in Judges, jump into Judges 13. So we're going to start and knock this out. I've actually done this video before when I very first started my channel, so this is the first time I've ever redone a study. I don't know how much it's going to differ, but I'm kind of excited to see for myself if I can pull anything else out of this and, my thoughts and whatnot. So we just left Judges 12, and Israel's in a state of apostasy again. All their judges were doing some pretty weird things and continuing on and whatnot. So now it says, all the people of Israel again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. So the Lord gave them into the hand of the Philistines for 40 years. So I think last time we ended off in like 31 years of bad leadership. And now because of that bad leadership, we've had 40 years of, being in the hand of the Philistines. There's a certain man of Zorah of the tribe of Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren and had no children. And the angel of the Lord appeared to the woman, and said to her, Behold, you are barren, and have not borne a child, but you shall conceive and bear a son. Therefore be careful and drink no wine, or strong drink, and eat nothing unclean. For behold, you shall conceive and bear a son. No razor shall come upon his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb. And he shall begin to save Israel from the hand of the Philistines. So this has got to be weird for them. Israel's in an apostate state, basically, and they're practicing other cultures. They're actually being oppressed by the Philistines, so probably a lot of Philistine culture and worship has been brought in there. So God has chosen these people. And one thing I always find interesting in the Bible, and like Mary, when she ran to the tomb, the angels met her there. Mary, the mother of Jesus, the angel met her and told her about what happened. These angels have a habit of coming to the women in the Bible, and it's in a time where women weren't viewed as much, to be honest. A lot of times when you read through the Bible and you find the cultures of the time treated women like property, and honestly led to like some really weird things. So I think it's awesome how, when it comes to God's intervention with mankind, he elevates women up and even comes to them first. So that's something kind of awesome about that. It's talking about being a Nazarite. That doesn't mean they're from Nazareth. That is talked about, I believe, in Numbers. I can't remember the exact one, but I know you're not supposed to drink any alcohol. You're not supposed to cut your hair. You're not supposed to touch dead bodies. You're not supposed to marry foreign women. And I think that was just an Israelite thing overall, outside of Nazarite, but specifically for the Nazarites since they were dedicated to God. And it wasn't because like some kind of purist racial thing. It was more of trying to keep the bad practices out. Philistines, practice things like child sacrifice, prostitution, and that was more normal for them, and Israel didn't want that becoming part of their culture, so that was the idea behind that. Then the woman came and told her husband, and a man of God came to me, and his appearance was like the appearance of the angel of God, very awesome. I did not ask him where he was from, and he did not tell me his name, but he said to me, Behold, you shall conceive and bear a son. So then drink no wine or strong drink, and eat nothing unclean, for the child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb to the day of his death. I think it's awesome that she ran to tell her husband. She's so excited. I can tell she really believes this. When she's running to him, this isn't just something that like, wow, some dude told me something weird today. She's like, man, this guy told me I'm going to have a child. He was a man of God. And when she says God, she's talking about the God of the Bible, Yahweh, Jehovah. She's talking about the God that they believe in, not like any kind of pagan gods or anything. Which in the state where they've been under oppression, is probably a rare thing. A lot of people are probably practicing rituals to different gods when it comes to crops or, luck or whatever, good fortune, money, whatever the case may be. So then Manoah prayed to the Lord and said, O Lord, please let the man of God who you sent come again to us and teach us what we are to do with the child who will be born. I think that statement's awesome because it's not like, God, are you really going to give us a child? His faith is so strong. It's like, oh Lord, please let the man come back and teach us what we're to do with a child that will be born. He will be born. That's just an amazing thing. And this picture, as you go forward to when Mary, the mother of Jesus, an angel came to her, told her she was going to have a son miraculously. This is miraculously too because this woman was barren. So it's not like it's a virgin birth, but it still kind of foreshadows into that, and this kid's going to save them from the Philistines, kind of foreshadowing how Jesus is going to save the world from the ultimate enemy, Satan himself, sin and wickedness. And God listened to the voice of Manoah, and the angel of God came again to the woman as she sat in the field. So God heard that, and I think that's important to acknowledge too, is God hears our prayers. If you fast forward with the birth of John the Baptist, there was a point where, the angel came to him and says, "Hey, your prayers have been answered." And he kind of was like, "You're gonna have to be more specific," because he was an old man, and the angel was like, "Yeah, you're gonna have a son, like you've been praying for." And he was probably thinking to himself, like, "Man, I haven't prayed for a son since I was a young man. I'm old. My wife's old." And he was actually mute until his son was born because of his disbelief, because it was kind of like, what? you know? And this kind of shows to me that, you know, when you pray, you may feel like the right time is right now, and maybe God is willing to put something into your hands for you, but there's a time limit to it, or there's a time frame that He wants you to work on. Maybe there's self-improvement you need to do. Maybe there's things that need to happen in the world first, and God can see beginning to end. He's outside of time, so He can see it. Kind of like we're watching a parade. Our life goes by, like parade, float after float after float. God has that helicopter view where He can see the float start to finish, the whole parade, and He knows what's coming next, and He can see the end results and what's going on. And having that trust and faith in God is important, because your prayers may not be answered today, but it doesn't mean they're not going to be answered tomorrow or next year or a decade from now, or shoot, on your deathbed. Who knows? But God listened to the voice of Manoah. And again, the angel came back to the woman. Didn't come to Manoah, came to the woman. But Manoah, her husband, was not with her. So the woman ran quickly and told her husband, "Behold, the man who came to me the other day has appeared to me." And Manoah rose and went after his wife, and came to this man and said to him, "Are you the man who spoke to this woman?" And he said, "I am." I like this statement because a lot of people believe, and I kind of do too, the more I research into it, that the angel of the Lord is like a pre-incarnate form of Jesus Christ. Kind of like the angels that came to Abraham by Sodom and Gomorrah. There was three of them. I believe it represented Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, because we saw Jesus enter into time, but Jesus has always been there before creation. So there's always a form of Him that's able to walk in the garden per se. So I like the statement that he said, "I am," because that's what God said to Moses in the burning bush. "What's your name?" "I am who I am." And kind of like Jesus, it's kind of like a dual meaning, I think, at least. That's just my opinion. Something I think is kind of cool, but, to each their own. Said, "I am." I love that. And Manoah said, "When your words come true," again, faith. He's not like, "Hey, are your words going to come true?" Hey, when your words come true. I mean, he was all on board for this. He believed it. He was, ecstatic, I could say. What is to be the child's manner of life, and what is his mission? And the angel of the Lord said to Manoah, "Of all that I said to the woman, let her be careful. She may not eat of anything that comes from the vine, neither let her drink wine or strong drink, or eat any unclean thing. All that I command her, let her observe." So he kind of gives them the instructions again like he asked. And Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, "Please, let us detain you and prepare a young goat for you." And the angel of the Lord said to Manoah, "If you detain me, I will not eat your food. But if you prepare a burnt offering, then offer it to the Lord." For Manoah did not know that he was the angel of the Lord. And Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, "What is your name? So that when your words come true, we may honor you." Again, he acknowledges a third time, when your words come true, we can honor you. And the angel of the Lord said to him, "Why do you ask my name, seeing it is wonderful?" And I think that's funny that he asked it, because there's other translations where it's like, where the angel says, "It's beyond your comprehension." This is the ESV, but you look under other translations, one of the ways it's rendered is "it's beyond your comprehension." And I think that's funny, because just like I think "I am" has a dual meaning, the angel of the Lord's like, "Why do you ask? It's beyond your comprehension. And actually, I already told you, I am." So I think that's kind of cool. That's the way I view it and the way I read it. I think that's a really cool little tidbit there. So Manoah took the young goat and with the grain offering and offered it on a rock to the Lord, to the one who works wonders. And Manoah and his wife were watching. And when the flame went up toward heaven from the altar, the angel of the Lord went up into the flame. Now Manoah and his wife were watching, and they fell on their faces to the ground. So not only did he come down and tell him you're gonna have a kid, Noah showed his faith 3 times. Like, dude, this is gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen. The angel of the Lord like gives him another treat. Like, I'm gonna show you also a miracle right now, just to put a little stamp of, this is gonna happen for you. And this fire goes up, and the angel zips into the flame, which would be gnarly to see. And in old Israel times, people believed if they saw the face of the Lord, they were cursed or gonna die, or it was just too much and overwhelming. And I think this part is funny. Every time. This is like they say the Bible is very serious, which it is, but it has some comedy. You have a donkey talking to somebody at one point, but this tops that in my opinion because it's more relatable than a donkey talking. Although I'd like to see a donkey talk. I ain't gonna lie, that'd be cool. The angel of the Lord appeared no more to Manoah and his wife. Then Manoah knew that he was the angel of the Lord. So now he knows that, well, this is the angel of the Lord. This wasn't just a good man of God. And Manoah said to his wife, "We shall surely die, for we have seen God." But his wife said to him, "If the Lord had meant to kill us, he would have not accepted a burnt offering and a grain offering at our hands, or shown us all these things, or announced to us such things as these." So it's like the woman's like, "Okay, my friend, just so you know, if God was just going to kill us, why would he show us a miracle? Why would he tell us he's going to have a child? Why would he accept the burnt offering? Why would he even came to us if he's just going to kill us?" And I could imagine Manoah's like, I think you're right. It just reminds me, like, I don't know if it's all men relatable. Like, I think men are very logical creatures. We go by logic, but sometimes that logic fails us majorly, and we do something dumb. And like we're working out, like we have this logic and this mathematic problem going, and in our mind there's all these numbers going, and we're so complicated. Bah, 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 bah. And you're thinking how you're gonna solve this, and blah blah blah. And your wife comes up and says, "Why don't you just do this?" And you're like, it just hits you that you're overthinking it. And there's a simple solution. And God bless my wife because she's given me the simple solution quite a few times, and just said something. I'm like, man, I was testing you and you passed, babe, because yeah, I knew that. I was just testing you. It's oh, you idiot. So I think that's funny. I think it's a little nod to just how marriages are in general, and just the relationship between man and wife. I think this is a really awesome relationship they have. The last part, and the woman bore a son and called him Samson, and the young man grew, and the Lord blessed him. And the Spirit of the Lord began to stir in him in Mahaneh Dan, between Zorah and Esethtal, if I pronounce those right. In some translations too, I think it's the actually it's not really a translation. It's like a amplified Bible, which I have a side by side comparison. When it like kind of says, but his wife said to him, in the amplified says, but his sensible wife said to him. So, it just kind of, I don't know. I love that. I love that. I hope everyone else loves that too, because I think it's hilarious. The whole point of this chapter is to, these people are living in a broken world at the time. Like, Israel's fallen so far from God. They've been under oppression. I mean, it can't feel good. It must not feel good knowing that you're out there and Manoah's out in the fields working. A Philistine raid could come and just wipe out everything you worked for. I mean, you're at risk because of what's happening, and there's not much you can do about it because you're powerless, and everyone's turned so far from God. Like, God's not helping either. God says, you wanted these practices, you wanted to act in your way. Unfortunately, these are the results of your actions. When you're ready, come back to me, and I can show you how to change your life in order to overcome this, or send you a judge in ways. So they're living in this time, and they might think there's nothing going on. And to be a barren woman at that time was like an insult on top of injury. They're oppressed, plus she's not giving birth to children, which was a bad sign, like you were cursed from God. So everyone's looking at this family, and they're probably looking at them like, they're cursed from God, because even though they're in an apostate state and they worshipped other gods, they still held on to the religiosity of their religion. The technicality is like, oh, you're not loved by God because you're not having children. Go back to Job, and when he lost everything, they're like, oh, just curse God and die, dude, because you're cursed. There's nothing you can do for your salvation. You're never going to see the feet of God. So, and that's kind of people's mindsets. They looked at you like you'd done something wrong. Like, there's some big sin in your family because you're not having kids. And even when you go to Mary and Joseph, when she got the Immaculate Conception and Joseph decided to stay with her, the disrespect they would have gotten from the community. They probably would have been kicked out of the community, or people would have looked at them like they're just trash because it was very wrong and dirty to get pregnant before getting married. It means that he couldn't keep his vows to God to honor her as his wife, and or it means that she went and got pregnant in a side relationship. So the way people view it, they're like super dishonorable couple. They would have never imagined the savior of the world coming from these people, and I'm pretty sure that Israel didn't think twice about Manoah and his wife. They were like, these guys are trash bins. They're the bottom of the bottom. They can't even have a baby. And they finally had a baby. They're like, whatever, So they fixed up the curse by God. Doesn't mean they didn't do it. The mindset then was just so different. And it was all these outside influences coming there, instead of like, treat people how you want to be treated. It was more like treat people how you want to treat them and get what you want to get out of anybody. It's just the other cultures that came around, their practices were just evil, and that's why the Sermon on the Mount was such a big deal because it opposed every thought to man. I mean, it's so easy to give into the hate in your life. It's so easy to want to hate somebody. Something happens, the first thing you want to do is react to that fleshly side. It takes a lot more to maintain calm, maintain cool, and try to be loving and just forgive right away. That's a hard one, but once you learn that and got that in your pocket, it's a good thing. It's easy for people to say Christianity's trash. I'm supposed to forgive everybody that ever wrongs me, and because it's just easier to gossip and slander them and tell everyone else what a piece of crap they are, and get everyone to hate them too and be on the inside crowd. And every time you're feeling down, you can gossip about this person and put them down in some way, shape, or form, and that becomes the normal. And I can only imagine how Manoah and his wife were living their lives in this time, and how amazing it would have been to not only get a message from a man of God or what they thought was a man of God, but to just truly believe in your heart and just have that excitement just riling you. I mean, I'm so excited in my life because I can track the things I've done. For these are the big ones, I mean, the small ones, I mean, I lost count a long time ago, and like I was like, man, I'm just trash. I'm just a trashy person, and it's it's amazing to me, and it stirs up a humbleness, and it stirs up an excitement that God has forgiven me, and that I'm able to be redeemed, and I'm able to move forward and still make mistakes, and God has my back, and God shows me how to stop making those mistakes as long as I keep turning towards Him. So, God gave Jesus so everyone else could be saved, and anyone who wants that free gift of salvation, all they got to do is look to God, repent, and believe in the work of Jesus Christ. And I'm so excited that these guys got to be excited. I'm excited for that change in my life and how it's grown me, and how much I've seen it outstretch into other people's life and it's grown them. So if anyone's struggling, I'm definitely going to keep everyone who sees this video in my prayers, and everyone in general in my prayers. Things are going to get better even when they're looking bad, and God's always going to love you. You just got to turn to Him, seek Him, and repent. Hope everyone's having a blessed night. God bless, and take it easy.